Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Mo. I'm a professional intuitive, tarot reader, and psychic. And today we'll be talking about the spiritual effects of water, the spiritual properties of water, and as well as spiritual baths. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of questions about spiritual baths, and I've been recommending them a lot for some of my clients. And there's also been a few that were like, what's a spiritual bath? And I was like, oh, I guess I should make a video on that, yeah. But yeah, let's hop right into it. Starting off with water. Water has such spiritual significance and energetic properties across cultures. Water is said throughout many cultures to be able to help cleanse, clean, and bestow certain properties onto the people that are either drinking it or washing their bodies with it. You know what I mean? I mean, you see this through mythical tales like all throughout times, whether it's, something as like famous as, the Fountain of Youth, or if this is something as simple or common as a wishing well. You know what I mean? There's such spiritual significance to these things, and they're kind of woven into our everyday culture that sometimes we don't really think about it, yeah? But in my honest opinion, water is one of the best spiritual conductors, right? You can put certain herbs or flowers into water. You know what I mean? You can speak prayers or put certain intentions into water, and water is going to be able to hold those things and transfer those energetic properties into whoever drinks them or washes their body with them, right? And again, we see this practice all the time with things, as like baptisms, or spiritual bath, or even, I forget the name of it, but it's like, when somebody's giving birth to a baby, but like in their house in a pool of water with a midwife, you know what I mean? There's spiritual significance to that, you know what I mean? Because the water is supposed to help, and the water is going to help pull out some of those energetic properties and create a safe space for the baby, right? I also believe that water can help us travel and transfer energy, between different realms and dimensions, but that's another conversation for another day. But again, if you're familiar with like spell work or anything like that, you should know that like water is nothing different, whether it's like a floor wash, you know what I mean? Or you have like a spritz or a spray for like cleansing purposes or to ward off bad energy, you know what I mean? Again, like I'm saying, water just has so many like spiritual uses, and you can just imbue all of the properties into the water and it's going to be able to hold it. There's even a famous like consciousness author named Dr. Masaru Emoto, and he conducted several experiments with water, where the first thing he did was he took some samples of polluted water and natural spring water that was very clean. He put them in a petri dish, and he hired a photographer, to take pictures of the water crystals after they were frozen. He found that like the polluted water crystals were like ugly and they were unsymmetrical, whereas like, the natural spring crystals, they were very clean and clear and symmetrical and beautiful. And he even took it a step further, and he started taking, samples of water, but then he just started putting words on the petri dishes, words like evil and bad and hatred and you make me sick, and like I think Hitler was like also a name. And then on the flip side, he also did like Mother Teresa and like peace and harmony and I love you, you make me happy, joy, and those type of things. And the contrast was stark, you know what I mean? Again, with the negative words, the frozen snowflakes were like ugly and like unsymmetrical, and they looked all weird and discombobulated, where like, the positive words and even the positive names that had a lot of love like attached to them, like Mother Teresa, they were beautiful, perfectly symmetrical, and they had these unique and wonderful patterns. I'll insert some pictures just so you can see, some of the photos of that experiment that he conducted. And he continued doing this with several things, whether he was like playing music or, put them in certain rooms with different conversations that people were having. But I would definitely say look into that experiment if you're interested in looking into that some more. Moving on to the second part of the video, again, because water holds memory and it also has the ability to hold energy, that's what makes it so effective when it comes to spiritual baths, right? You can pray over it. You can put your hands into it if you're really good with like Reiki or like energetic transmutation, flowers, herbs, whatever you decide to put in the water is going to be able to hold that and actually like amplify it to actually help cleanse you or imbue any of those energetic properties into your body and your being, right? Your energetic body, essence, and being. And so like, what is a spiritual bath? A spiritual bath, is any wash that takes place with water done for a certain intention or even like a spiritual purpose, right? Again, these could be baptisms, or I also believe that like in the Muslim faith, you know what I mean, that they wash their feet a number of times a day. Again, I'm not 100% on those, but double check. But that would also be considered, a spiritual bath. or even just washing your hands and like saying a prayer to get grounded and, to move away any anxiety, right? Or even just like having a quick little like spritz bottle. Those are some things that would count as spiritual baths as well. Again, it's the use of water to cleanse or to imbue your being with a certain energetic property and or intention, right? But today I'm going to be talking about, the more ritualistic spiritual bath. I guess they're all ritualistic, but I'm talking about one that takes place in a tub, right? Where you say certain prayers or intentions over the tub of water, you know what I mean? And the process I'm going to share with you today, it's fairly customizable. So, whether you're trying to attract money, protect your spirit, cleanse your spirit, invite love, or do a self-love bath, anything would work, you know what I mean? As long as you know what tools, flowers, herbs, properties, and prayers you want to say over your spiritual bath. There are so many things, and there are so many things you can use for a spiritual bath, right? You can play music, you can sing, you can hum, play instruments, use crystals, you know what I mean? For that sake, I would definitely say follow your intuition, because the sky's the limit. I just know with like creativity, that's a spiritual process. It's a spiritual quality that not many people talk about, but creativity is one of the strongest spiritual tools that you're ever going to have and possess, right? I do have a spiritual bath ritual. If you want to take a look at that, find my Stan Store link down in the description bar, and you can find that free to use. Yeah. But let's hop right into it. Yeah. So as far as how to take a spiritual bath, everything I'm going to be sharing with you, these are just some pointers. This is not a complete list, you know what I mean, of the way to take a spiritual bath. So yeah, follow your intuition or any like religious or spiritual practice that you have, and maybe pair it with some of the things that I have, or do your own research when it comes to conducting your own spiritual bath, right? Also, don't feel like you have to add a bunch of like, candles and herbs and flowers and, honey and salt and sliced fruits into your spiritual bath. Some of my most effective spiritual baths are nothing but just like a little sprinkle of salt, water, and prayer. You know what I mean? All you really need is your attention, your prayer, and the water itself. So don't feel overwhelmed, you know what I mean, if you find a spiritual bath ritual or recipe and you don't have all the ingredients necessary. Yeah, but let's go ahead and get started. Right, so the first thing you're going to need to do in order to conduct your own spiritual bath is to know your intention. What are you doing it for? Just like I was saying before, do you want to cleanse your spirit? Do you want to protect it? Is this a self-love ritual? Do you want to attract more money, abundance, open the road to certain opportunities or anything like that? Knowing your intention and meditating on it before you get started with anything is going to be very helpful. Additionally, you also want to clean your space. You know what I mean? The physical mirrors the spiritual and vice versa, right? As above, so below. So just to make sure that you're working with a clean slate, I highly recommend, cleaning your bathtub or pool of water or your bowl or whatever it is that you're going to be using, because you don't want any other energies to interfere with the ritual that you will be doing. And as far as your intention goes, maybe try writing it down. If you're new to spiritual baths, you can't go wrong with writing your intentions down and posting it up somewhere just to have it as a reminder. And once your place has been physically cleaned, you also want to clean it and protect it spiritually, right? Sometimes, in order to protect the ritual space, I'll light 4 tea light candles and I'll place those at the corners of the bathtub. Other times I'll light an incense, or I might even take, like a clear quartz wand or a selenite wand and wash it over, the ritual space to cleanse it and to help purify the energies of the room, right? Physical cleaning, spiritual cleaning, they go hand in hand, and also protecting the space, whether that's, putting a couple drops of salt in the 4 corners of the bathtub, in the bathroom, you know what I mean? Again, follow your intuition. If you already have a spiritual practice, I would definitely say add some of those things into your spiritual bath ritual. And again, protecting your space can be as simple as, just visualizing a pure white bubble, you know what I mean, that nothing can penetrate. Again, visualization is so great when it comes to spiritual practices. So that can be another way that you spiritually protect the ritual space. Another thing, I almost forgot this, but you also want to take a regular shower or bath before you start your spiritual bath, right? Again, you just don't want to mix any of those energies, of any of the energies from like your previous days or anything like that. And you want to go on with a clean body. And then also at the end, I highly recommend, depending on what you're doing, but for the most part, as a rule of thumb, after taking a spiritual bath, you do want to air dry so that the properties that you're imbuing your spiritual bath with can actually soak into your skin and your body, right? If that's the case, if that's what you're going to be doing, you do want to start your spiritual bath with a clean body, having already showered, using your traditional soap and washcloth and all that good stuff. Up next, as you're filling your bathtub with warm water, you want to pour in, I highly recommend salt, a blessing oil, and then a mixture of flowers, herbs, roots, maybe sliced fruit, so on and so forth, that are actually in alignment with whatever it is that you're trying to energetically manifest or imbue into your essence, right? Some things to know, I always do a blessing oil. I always do maybe like a perfume or like a oil, like a Florida water as an offering to my ancestors, spirit guides, and angels that invites them into your ritual. And I find that it actually heightens the effectiveness of the ritual. And additionally, salt. You know what I mean? If you have high blood pressure issues, maybe don't put salt into your spiritual baths. But otherwise, I do like to add some Epsom salts, or maybe even just some table salt if that's all you have. Because the table salt, it's really good for like pulling and grounding the energies that you're going to be putting into your spiritual bath. But then your skin is also going to be able to absorb that so that some of those things stick to you and your energetic being once your spiritual bath is over. Some other things you can do, you may even want to write an incantation, some spell words, or maybe even like a Bible scripture or like a scripture or sacred text or some words from anything that you're using, like the Quran or the Torah. I'm not 100% like familiar with those other spiritual texts, but again, the sky's the limit, right? Spiritual baths are very customizable, and I see that they fit into any religious practice. And as you're pouring in your herbs, your salt, your flower petals, whatever have you, I recommend stirring them in clockwise, you know what I mean? And then saying your prayer or your incantation or your scripture over the bath water, again, to imbue it with the energetic properties. Again, our voices are very powerful our voices are very powerful when it comes to imbuing things with energetic properties. After that, you want to hop into the spiritual bath. And at this point, visualization is going to be very important, right? I also recommend using a white cloth to help you visualize cleansing or imbuing any of the energetic properties, whether you're trying to wash something away or whether you're trying to draw in good luck or money. Again, the visualization process is going to be very good for you. And I find, the physical mirrors the spiritual. So if you have a towel that you said this is going to be the tool that you're using to make sure that process happens, go on and use that. But sometimes I'll just use my hands, right? So you don't necessarily need a white cloth. During this process, continue to repeat your prayer, your scripture, your incantation, your intention, or whatever have you, and take some time to sit and meditate. Like, by all means, do not rush this process. You know what I mean? I think that time is the currency of the spiritual realm. So the more time you spend in the bath, the more likely you're, and not just like, don't just sit in there for a long time just for it to be a long time. If you're sitting there focused with intention and meditating, it'll help, lift the energies and imbue the energies into your spiritual bath. Additionally, I highly recommend dunking your head into the water, whether that's kneeling in your bathtub and actually dunking your head, or finding a cup or a tub or a bowl of some sort and being able to pour it over your head just so that it covers your crown. Your crown, it's kind of the place where we receive sacred and spiritual information from the divine. And if you're doing any spiritual practice, I highly believe that the crown should be emphasized in that sense. Yeah. Another thing, repetition is great. Repetition helps. For all my spiritual baths, I either repeat my prayer or, my intention 3, 6, or 7 times. You know what I mean? Just as a rule of thumb, if you're into numerology and that type of thing, definitely follow your intuition when it goes to that, right? But repetition is great. All it's going to do is actually like heighten the effects and imbue more of that energy into the waters of your spiritual bath. And then silence is also important, in my opinion. Once I feel like I've done enough of the, the meditation, the sitting, saying and speaking the words into the bath water, the visualization and the praying and all that, I do try to leave some time to receive divine messages or downloads from the divine and just sit in silence. It's only when we're sitting in silence that we can actually hear the words and the wisdom of the divine and have them influence us. So I try to have some time and space for that to take place as well when it comes to my personal spiritual baths. After that, you know what I mean? You're good to hop out and dry off. However, I don't dry off with the traditional towel, right? You do want to air dry, like I was saying before, just so that those energetic properties in the water can sit on your skin and they have the opportunity to soak into your body and your being. I also try to wear white or light colors for the following 24 hours after a spiritual bath. Sometimes I actually will dry off my head with like a white oat t-shirt or a white towel if it's cold out and I just don't want to get sick. You know what I mean? And that's another thing. You should also be protecting your crown with a white head scarf or head wrap of some sort. Yeah. You can also wear the colors of whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, right? If it's self-love, maybe wear pink for the next day. If it's money, wear a combination of green and gold. If it's good luck, maybe wear yellow. But again, if all you have is white, white will work under all cases, in my opinion. After that, thank your ancestors, spirit guides, and angels for allowing you, for assisting you with the ritual and imbuing it with properties and energy, and just for the support. Thank God and the Most High, because it's only through God that we're able to do these things, right? In my opinion, anyway. What else? Additionally, I personally like to gather a bowl with like as many herbs, flower petals, or anything that I was using with some of the bath water as well. And I try to take it to a natural source or a nature source. And to thank Mother Earth for providing me, with the flowers, the herbs, the salts, the crystals, whatever have you, and assisting me with that spiritual bath. And I try to give a offering and say thank you. And then also ask Mother Earth to help you, imbue those energies into your environment. Yeah. And then that's about it. After that, your spiritual bath or ritual is complete. After that, I highly recommend, being sure to live in accordance with your intention. If you're doing a protective bath, but, the following 3 days, you go start drinking alcohol and smoking and talking to people that don't mean you well, then girl, why'd you take the spiritual bath, right? As above, so below. We do have to move intentionally in our personal lives just so that the spiritual work that we do makes sense, right? They should go hand in hand. Like doing spiritual work isn't automatically going to fix the decisions you make in the physical life and vice versa. I highly recommend putting them hand in hand and living in accordance with what it is that you're trying to do with your spiritual bath, just to give the spiritual energies that are going to be surrounding you an easier time, yeah? Alrighty, and that's all I have for you. Thank you for watching this video. Please let me know if you have any questions about like the spiritual properties of water or spiritual baths down in the comment section. Again, if you're looking for a spiritual bath ritual, find my Stan Store link in the description bar. There, you can find one there. It'll be on sale. Yeah, and if you found value out of this video, let me know what you found interesting about this video down in the comment section, and feel free to subscribe because there will be plenty of more videos like this. Alrighty, that's all for now, and until next time, this is XOMO. Bye.